First, on August 30th and 31st, the Marianas History Conference will be held at the University of Guam, and joining me now to talk more about it are Dr. Ann Perez-Satori and Rita Nalta. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us on Half a Day.
Oh, thank you for having us today.
Okay. And your contributions to our culture and our island are both duly noted. Of course, Dr. Satori, you do so much work academically, as well as getting involved and getting with the nitty gritty. And Rita, what can we? what else is going on with like Guampedia that hasn't been covered and everything? It's pretty much going to rival Wikipedia at some point in terms of submission.
We're almost there.
We would hope. A couple million behind, but one would hope.
But surpassing it in terms of credibility.
There you go.
Thank you.
And on that note, okay, so how did the conference come about?
Well, actually, this is the second occurrence of this conference. The first one was last year in Saipan, and I'll let Rita talk about that since I didn't attend it. I had a previous engagement already.
It was a long time coming, but with the partnership with the Northern Marianas Humanities Council, the Guam Preservation Trust, and Guampedia Foundation, we got together and said, well, we need to really have this dialogue, and we do have a shared history up until the late 19th century. So we decided, let's do this. We had it in June, and the theme was One Archipelago, Many Stories. And it was really amazing. We had over 50 presenters. And what was really amazing was that they were from all over the world, Germany, Spain, the UK, of course, Guam and NMI, but had research about the history of the Marianas. Mm-hmm. And it was supposed to be a biannual event where every 2 years, because researchers, scholars, they can't just turn up these studies overnight. But because it was the first, we wanted to be able to expand the audience, and so that's why we decided to have it here, the second conference 1 year later. And so that's going to be at the end of the month. And the University of Guam, particularly under the leadership of Dr. Ann and Dr. Michael Clement, have been leading the committee to put on a great conference that does rival last year's, but it's only going to get better.
Oh, very nice. And Dr. Satori, because this is a regional conference in its approach, are there any themes that, because of course the differences between Guam and the NMI and, the various places, but, there's a lot of parallels, I would assume, too. So, what are some of those?
Well, initially we, of course, divided into the typical, ancient Chamorro and the Spanish era, et cetera. And what we wanted to do was bring together people from the Northern Marianas, scholars from the Northern Marianas and Guam together. So we're not talking about Japan and Saipan in one room and Japan on Guam in another. But, and so, bring that together. So we have some chronological breakdowns, such as the Spanish era, but a lot of it is more thematic. Things like political issues or health, sociological issues, like history of suicide, history of the family, changes in the family dynamic. So we've got both like kind of the typical historical chronology and other thematic issues, ranging from art to biology, to social issues. Mm-hmm. So it's a kind of mix.
Now, scholars have a tendency to love these conferences because not only do they get to, present their work that they've been spending many months on and, have a free trip and a free lunch perhaps, which is always nice. Yeah. But they also get to network with, other people within the academic halls and just say, hey, like I've got a couple of areas of expertise and you obviously, your contributions are well noted. How are you seeing, the networking between, people in that, and how can that contribute to we as a people knowing more about our history?
I think one of the things that's very important actually is the networking between Guam and the Northern Marianas. It's pretty ironic actually that there hasn't really been historically a lot of interaction. So Guam historians sometimes even forget that, for the vast majority of our history, it's, we were unified. So it's a good opportunity to kind of constantly be reminding each other and the audience that we have more in common, that there's more that unites us than divides us. Mm-hmm. And so that I think has been very important. It's also, nice for us as academics to meet people where we've been reading their papers, we know these names, right? We see it on the internet and everything, but to actually meet them, it's like, oh, that's who you are.
It's like on Facebook when you run into somebody at the mall. It's like, hey, I can actually shake your hand in real life instead of having to like you.
Yeah. And ask questions, and it's nice too because we've got students participating, and so we've got the range. We've got actually even some high school students presenting, all the way to, career career historians.
Now, what are they presenting about the high school students?
There's one paper on the history of prisons and the penal system, and one is kind of cultural identity, Korean identity on Guam.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah. So there's actually two Korean-centered papers. One is about the Koreans who were brought to the Marianas during the Japanese period, and this is a scholar coming from Korea.
And how they've been able to, like become an integral part of our culture here and thrive, commercially and culturally.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the papers say. I don't know.
Okay.
I only have these 100-word blurbs, so.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of blurb, we got to go to commercial real quick. But Rita, I'm sold. How can I attend, and is there a cost?
Yes, there is, and you actually can go online to guampedia.com.
Very nice.
And on the left side, you'll see the Second Marianas History Conference. Take a look at the abstracts that Dr. Hattori mentioned and register. If you register in advance, that's a $25 registration fee, and it'll include refreshments and lunch for both days, Saturday and Sunday. But we do have other special events, a welcome reception on Thursday, but also a closing banquet on Saturday that people can attend and purchase a ticket online as well.
All right, so people undoubtedly are watching this on TV right now, and everybody's online these days. Go, everybody, register for the conference right now. You will not regret that you did. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can't wait to cover it for you. All right, and
you.
stay tuned because we're back.